Okay.
Dr. Stedman, can you hear me?
I can, yes. I'm trying to find your name so I can. Let me see. We got a lot of people.
That's a good thing.
It is a very good thing. Let me see. Okay. Okay.
Hello?
Dr. Lamb, I have made you the host so you can maneuver the documents for us.
All right, go downstairs.
Good.
Okay.
I got class.
We still have a few minutes, so.
Okay. Hello? Is there a waiting room up here?
Okay. Dr. Lamb, we're going to have to remind people to make sure they mute their devices.
Yep, we'll do that.
You can. Yeah. Play with me. We hug.
Dr. Stedman, can you see the course overview screen?
I cannot. Okay, it's for some reason it's gone back to launch.
No, just go to the top menu bar and
Do what now?
I should be able to go to your top menu bar, or just click out of that. Just minimize that screen, and it should show the course overview screen.
Okay, I see it now. Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Okay, we've got it.
Hello?
Okay, I'm just seeing. 34 participants so far, Dr. Lamb.
That's good.
So
Good. Yeah.
need a few more than that, though.
Yeah. How many do we have in these three sections?
Remember, there's actually 4 joining in.
Yeah.
30, 45. Probably about 65. Somewhere thereabout.
All right. Well, we've still got about 3 minutes before we get started.
Yeah, we've got 40 participants so far. 41.
All right.
Dr. Lynn, we've got people all over the place. One of our students actually lives in Georgia.
Yeah, I saw that on the spreadsheet. We won't hold that against her, though.
What's that called? The first doctor.
Probably want to volunteer.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Lamb, I think we can go ahead and get started.
All right.
First of all, thank all of you for joining us. I'm Dr. Stedman. I will be one of the 3 people that will be guiding you through this process this semester. Welcome to MELS 601, and all of you are in the add-on licensure program, which means that graduate school is not new to you. You have already accomplished a master's degree in some area. So the rigor and the work involved in this add-on licensure program should not be, you should be able to figure things out more easily than somebody that's just going into a master's program. The purpose of this evening is to go over lots of things with you so that we can make sure that you have a smooth transition. Before we go any further, I want to introduce one of the other two of the three people that you'll meet tonight, Dr. Dale Lamb, and I'm going to let Dr. Lamb introduce himself this time.
Good evening. I'm Dale Lamb with Gardner Webb. If you would go ahead and mute your device. We're getting a lot of feedback, and we are recording. I'm going through manually muting so that we can all hear. Let me do that. All right, cool.
Be patient with us. We'll get this worked out quickly.
Oh, there we went. That was. Okay, I think everybody's muted now. I'm Dale M. Gardner Webb. I'm a professor here on campus. I am Director of Clinical Activities. I'm also the chair of the males department. So if you have questions or problems, it'll end up in my in basket anyway. So it's good to have you all here with us tonight. Dr. Stedman will be the lead content instructor for you this semester. Whether you're registered for his class or mine is immaterial. He will be the lead content instructor. I will be the lead evidence artifact instructor, and Dr. Hamilton will be our task stream technology lead instructor. He will be with us Thursday night. I'm going to have another session Thursday night where we will only talk about evidence artifacts and task stream. We will not talk about, we probably won't get to those things tonight. And so we're going to cover the course content tonight. And then we'll cover evidence artifacts, which are part of the clinical experience for licensure. Please remember that this is a dual program. Dual program means that you have 3 classes and you have course content for those classes. But you also have your evidence artifact task stream portfolio for licensure, and that's why you're all here. And so we're required to do a demonstration portfolio, much like national boards, for licensure in the state of North Carolina. Now, if you're teaching or working in South Carolina, you'll get your license in North Carolina. You apply and take the praxis in South Carolina, not in North Carolina, but you'll take the praxis in order to get your licensure there. But everybody has to complete their demonstration portfolio for clinical experiences in task stream. We will cover that more in depth Thursday night. Now, that session will be at 6 o'clock on Thursday night. I have a 7:15 after that one. So I'll be on from 6 to 7 on Thursday night. Now, again, that session is optional. I will record that session and we'll post it in all the shells that you have in Blackboard. We'll put it in your class shell. I'll also put it in your intern shell. Your intern shell is not activated. It will not be activated. You will have an intern shell as well to go along with your class shell. That will not activate until drop add. That's not my decision, but that's the way that works. So that shell will be available early next week when drop add is over. I think that's Monday. So that shell will become available at that time. If I can get it launched quicker than that through the Blackboard people, I will. But right now, they tell me it can't be launched until drop add. So tonight, we're going to cover course content, all the ins and outs of Zoom and the syllabus and all those kinds of things. So I'm going to turn it back over. I'm going to control the screen, and Dr. Stedman's going to narrate. So
Dr. Lamb, just, and I don't want to assume anything, so would you please, before we get started, just show students, because I had some to say that they were having a hard time finding Blackboard, just show them where they go to find Blackboard. Let's start with that.
Okay. All right, when you log in, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can, yes.
You see a blue cross on my screen? I don't know where that came from.
I don't either. It just showed up all of a sudden.
I don't know how that came along. But anyway, when you click in, when you log into Gardner Web, if you'll click on Web Connect, and then over on the left-hand menu under Web Connect, I've drugged these two to the top, my favorites, but here in your list will look like this. Just simply click on New Blackboard. And it may ask you to sign in again. If it does, you sign in again. And then once it comes up over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you will see my courses. Now, you won't have as many as me, obviously. And then you select the course that you're in. It'll be some section of 601, and there will eventually be an intern shell right next to it. And it'll say intern shell. But for right now, for purposes of tonight, we're going to be working in Dr. Stedman's shell. As you can see, I have all of them. But you'll just have one that says Mel 601, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12. We have 6 new sections this semester. And so when you click on that, it's going to take you by default to the course overview page where I started out. So that's how you get into Blackboard.
Okay. Dr. Lamb, and you will find this is for the 602 class, and all of you will have this same information no matter what section you're in. You'll have a welcome and an introduction where you meet your instructor, whether it's Dr. Lamb or whether it's me. One of the things you need to go ahead and take care of, if you have not taken care of immediately, is the EVA, which is the enrollment verification activity. This is for Gardner Web to just show that you have signed into the class that you've signed up for. So you need to take care of that immediately, and that will show up. Once you do it, it will show up. When I look at Blackboard, it will show me that you have completed that activity. You will also see on this page the course syllabus and the course handbook in the middle. But what I want you to focus on is the left-hand side. Dr. Lamb, if you'll just scroll up to the top of the left-hand side. This, for all practical purposes, this is the area that you'll be working with throughout the semester when you go into your Blackboard account. The syllabus is in the center, but what I want you to focus on is go to week 1, Dr. Lamb. This is where you will find your assignments for each week. Beginning tonight, this is the first class, so this is the first week. You'll see your first week reading assignments and resources, and it will outline everything that you're supposed to do for that particular week. All the links work to the readings, the additional materials that you have to refer to, all of them, they have been checked, and they do work. You will find at the bottom of each of those weeks, you'll find when your assignments are due, and for me, all assignments are due by Sunday night at 9 o'clock. You should have all of your work posted by then in Blackboard. If for some reason there is a problem, you need to communicate with me and let me know there's a problem, and I'll work with you. But I will expect work to be, and I have done that by design because I know all of you work during the week, and a lot of times it is the weekend where you do have the extra time to put more time into what you have to do. I have listed at the bottom of each week a reminder that there will be a Zoom session the next week, and for a while, the Zoom schedule that you'll see on the left is really there as a guide, but Dr. Lamb and I have the autonomy to decide that we'll have extra meetings if we deem them necessary, just like he's deemed that Thursday will be necessary. And you'll have that for the first 2 or 3 weeks. We will decide that we might need a couple of weeks, but then you will find that they will level off. And even down the road, we'll decide down the road if we need to make some changes in it. But for right now, you need to place in your schedules that every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, unless I tell you differently, I will come online and there will be a Zoom session, and I will let you know on that Sunday evening, a reminder, and I will send out the link for that as well. But week 1, week 2, through week 15, it tells you everything that you are required to do. You will also get, beginning next week, not this week, but you'll get a reminder beginning next week of, I will give you a reminder of what is due that week, and then we will also look at the following week, so you'll always know what is due that particular week, and we'll look at the next week. And this helps remind you and keeps things as we pace your assignments and the work that you've got to do. Dr. Lamb, if you'll go back up to the top again. All of you have been assigned to Zoom Teams. Now, in your course syllabus, at the end, it tells you how you can log in to your own free Zoom account. And you need to go ahead and take care of that because you will have to use Zoom throughout the semester, and Zoom is exactly what we're doing now. It's where you work with your teams that you've been assigned, and the group assignments that you have to do will be via Zoom. And Dr. Lamb, click on Zoom Teams, My Zoom Teams.
I did. You cannot see it?
I'm sorry. Okay, this is the 602 group. So these are group 1, you see who you are. Group 2, you see who you are. And group 3. That is the same thing for all the other sections as well. You have been assigned your groups. This is the groups you will be working together as a team throughout this semester. So the contact information that is due this week, and many of you have already submitted that to Blackboard, is very, very important that you go ahead and submit that information so that the groups can begin, that you can go ahead and make a decision to get together, because you've got to determine who your initial Zoom team person's going to be, and then that can change throughout the semester, but you've got to start out with somebody that's going to be in charge, so you'll have to make that decision. Go down to the Zoom schedule, Dr. Lamb. Okay, click on Zoom schedule on the left. Okay, this Zoom schedule, again, this is subject to change, but this is pretty much a guide so that you can go ahead and lock in some times on your personal calendars and know that these are the times at this point that we're going to be Zooming in. And again, Dr. Lamb has added Thursday night, and probably next Thursday night. We'll talk about that later on. Dr. Lamb, didn't you say the town hall meeting would be at, did you say it would be at 7 o'clock next week?
Yes, on Monday the 22nd, I will do a town hall Zoom for all new male students, spring of 18, as department chair. I will do that. I will cover the same things that we're covering tonight. If you want to join us again, that'll be fine. If you want to skip that one, again, it'll be a basic overview like tonight to make sure everybody has heard that. It's kind of a reminder from tonight. We have 4 of the 6 groups with us tonight. We have some regular people who are not the add-on program who are in the other sections. That will be mostly for them, but if you want to join me again, that'll be fine. And please remember, I know I'm being redundant. I'll come on this coming Thursday, 2 days from now. I'll be back on again at 6 o'clock to talk to you about evidence artifacts. We don't want to go past an hour tonight.
And I'll send you the link for that as well, so you can join if you're able to. I will tell you, as much time as you can invest these first 2 or 3 weeks, you will find that it's invaluable, and how it's going to make it so much easier down the road if you will invest the time these first 2 or 3 weeks to be a part of everything that you can be a part of. Dr. Lamb, if you'll go back to the left again, and let's look at the links to the side of Blackboard. Okay, again, your syllabus and your handbooks on the side. I would advise you read the syllabus, read the handbook from one end to the other. You need to know the program that you're a part of. Orientation videos, those are there for your use. You know, you go in there and look at them. They will only help you better understand the program that you have signed up to be a part of. The competency folio directions, Dr. Lamb, we can skip that since you're going to talk about that on Thursday night.
I am.
Okay. Okay. One of the tasks that you will be responsible for throughout this semester, and this is a part of the Zoom teams that you've been assigned. If there's 5 in your team, some will have 5, some will have 4, and there may be some that have 6 based on the number of students in the classes. But you will be responsible once your evidence artifact work is submitted to Blackboard. You will be responsible for providing peer reviews with at least 2 people that's a part of your team. And this is the peer review template that you will use. Your group will decide which 2 you're going to work with. The next time you may work with 2 different people, but you'll be responsible for each of the tasks. You'll be responsible for completing 2 peer reviews. Now, please understand that the purpose of this is to provide good, solid, candid feedback to your peers. Don't say everything is good, looks good. If it's not, be professional about how you respond back. But if there's something that you know or feel like is going to help them submit a better product, then please, we should not take anything personally along the way. We should accept it for what it is, and it's good, solid, candid feedback. Dr. Lamb can see something one way, I can see it another way, but when we put all of our ways together, the end result is that we have something better. There's also a video, Dr. Lamb, I think there's a video that talks about the peer review process. Is that in the video section? Dr. Lamb, can you hear me?
Yes, it's coming up.
Okay, gotcha, okay. And again, you're going to have to play with this. You're going to have to just click on everything, and you'll figure out just by playing with it and you know what is there for you. This explains the peer review process. It's a simple process, but the video is there to help you better understand it. And Dr. Lamb and I will be talking more about this as we have other Zoom sessions. Dr. Lamb, you'll go on back to the left. The internship law template is there. That will come from their CC1. They'll understand that. The APA research assistance, everything that you do as you are writing your evidence artifact work, you should remember that you are writing it in APA style. We will be grading it for APA style, so you need to make sure that you are following the APA guidelines when you are writing and completing your work. This is APA Research Assistance, but there's also at the back of your course syllabus, there is a short APA handbook, and for most purposes, that APA handbook at the back of your syllabus will guide you through this program. If there's something else that you need that's not in the handbook, there's a lot of APA resources online, and many of you probably have an APA handbook from your previous graduate work. But just know that APA is the writing style that we will be using with your evidence artifact work.
This is the syllabus.
Okay, right. Okay, and again,
right here, here's the APA help. That's in that syllabus. Here's that section. It's on page. Looks like it starts at page. Starts on page 45.
Right.
46.
But it's towards the end of your.
So it's actual examples of the work that you do put into APA format. So again, I would view that video from Zotero on APA, but if you want to know how that applies to you, Dr. Stedman has it for you in your syllabus, examples of what APA looks like in evidence artifact work.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Lamb, if you'll go back to the left again. Okay. 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 One of throughout the semester, click on case studies, Dr. Lamb. There will be 3 different times that your Zoom groups will be responsible for reading and discussing case studies. You will have 2 at a time. Scenarios 1 and 2 will be one assignment. 3 and 4 will be a second assignment, and 5 and 6 will be a third assignment. At the end of each scenario, there are discussion questions. Your Zoom teams will decide who will be responsible for setting up the Zoom meeting. It will be a recorded meeting. You will save it as a YouTube video, and however many people are in that group will submit the same video for an assignment once you have completed that discussion. There will be no written work required with this assignment. Everything will be fully discussion, and you will be evaluated on how well you participate, how well you think like an administrator. And let me go ahead and talk to you now. Many of you are still in the classroom. One of the things that I'm going to ask you to do right now is I want you to just literally take off the teacher hat and put on the principal hat. You've got to begin thinking like an administrator. So in the responses that you give, in the work that you do, you cannot think like a teacher anymore. You are moving into administration. So what Dr. Lamb and Dr. Hamilton and I are going to be looking at in all that you do is how you are moving in the direction of becoming a 21st century school administrator. So please remember that in all that you do. And I'll probably, if I catch you answering like a teacher, I'm going to stop you and I'm going to remind you, take off that teacher hat and put your administrator hat on. Dr. Lamb, hit discussion board for task. This is a very, very important area because this is where you begin collaborating with the cohort of students that you are working with. The first assignment is your contact information, and many of you have already submitted that. But that's simply where you you tell briefly about yourself, and you give enough information that your Zoom team can communicate with you. That is where that should happen. I have made an assignment because that lets me know that you are in Blackboard, you understand what you're doing, and that you have made that initial step. So if you have not put your contact information in, please take care of that immediately so that as a Zoom group, you can begin communicating with each other and begin setting up the time that y'all can come together as a group. Okay. This is where you will actually submit when it says submit to Blackboard. This is where you would submit, like when you get into your evidence artifact work, when you have to do task 1 of the APSL that we will talk about in just a little bit. When you submit it, that is where your classmates will provide feedback on the work that you're doing. I will provide feedback as well. This is a time also that you will be able to provide work to Dr. Lamb as well to look at and provide feedback before it's actually turned in and submitted as a final grade. And we'll talk about the final submission at a later time. But again, this tells you week by week what has to be submitted to Blackboard for comments. Dr. Lamb, if you'll move to the assignment Dropbox. This is very, very important. When I tell you that an assignment is due, this is for grade. Everything that is for a grade, or most everything, is in the assignment Dropbox, and I will tell you, put it in the assignment Dropbox. For instance, when you do your contact information, this is where you go to the assignment Dropbox, you click on that, and you submit it, and it goes into Blackboard for grade. That is how I know that you have done what you were required to do for that week. And then it also, for instance, next week, week 2, and we'll talk about that on Tuesday when we join in, but your philosophy of education leadership. You can get ahead of the game. You can look at week 2, know that it's going to be due next week. You may find time that you can go ahead and get that done, but it explains what you need to do, and you don't have to actually wait until next week. If you know what you're doing, you can go ahead and submit it into the assignment Dropbox, and it will go into Blackboard, and I will grade it and give you some comments back on that. But scroll down, Dr. Lamb, and let them see. This is where the case studies go. This is where your task, your peer reviews go, the 2 for each task. This is where the Zoom videos go for the conferencing with the different tasks. This is where most of your work is going to be posted for a final grade. Okay, Dr. Lamb, if you'll go back to the left. Okay, I want you to click on APSL Final Task. And I know we haven't talked about the APSL yet. You've read about it, but I want to tell you what. You'll see the APSL Final Task and the APTEL Final Task, which are going to be the 2 areas that you're going to be working on this semester. They're in separate places simply because you are not to go into that area and drop any assignment until Dr. Lamb and or I have said, okay, this is time, it's ready, you can drop it in the task assignment Dropbox for a final grade. So those have been placed in separate places because we don't want you to get confused with the draft work that you're doing and the corrections that you have to make along the way. So do not go to this area and post any work until, actually, I probably will be the one, Dr. Lamb, to tell them it's ready to go in. You can drop it in there for grade now. So, you know, because I will be sending it back and forth until I know that it's going to be, you're going to get a good grade on it. You don't want to submit it in there and then it's not ready for a grade. So this is for the APSIL and the APTEL, which we will be talking about a little more in detail. Dr. Lamb, if you'll go down past, go back up a little bit. Okay, we've done the week by week. Go down past week 15. Okay. Dr. Lamb, have we got time to talk about the APSIL and task 1 of the APSIL?
Yes.
Okay. Beginning next week, not this week, but you need to begin working on it this week. Let's look at, not there yet, Dr. Lamb. If you will go to the course syllabus and let's look at the APSIL task 1. You're going to be required to complete 2 complete evidence artifacts this semester. One of them being the APSIL, which is everything that you do is going to be an action plan. This is an action plan for student learning, the APSIL. That's what the letters stand for. And with the APSIL, there are going to be, there are 5 tasks. And you should have seen already in Blackboard where I have given you a pacing guide in addition to the week by week that shows you when these tasks are due, and I will stay behind you on a regular basis to remind you. You'll say, that's another email from Dr. Stedman, that's another message from Dr. Stedman, but I'm going to stay behind you because it's so important that you keep up with what you have to do. Let's look at task 1. First of all, the reason we begin with student learning is that's why we're in school business to begin with. It's about the end result of everything we do should be in improving student achievement. So we begin with the student because that is what school business is all about, is working with the students. And it goes back to most of you or all of you should be familiar with Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you go to his habit number 2, he talks about beginning with the end in mind. And any of you that have ever built a home, you know that you don't just say one day, okay, I'm going to build a house, and you start building it. There has to be a plan. You have to plan it out. You talk about it, you design it, you get an architect, you lay out the plan. So that's really what you're doing with the APSIL. You're developing a plan for what you're going to be doing with the next year of your life. All of you should have been involved or are involved with the school improvement plans at your school. What you're actually doing, beginning with this, is developing on your own from beginning to the end everything that would go into a school improvement plan for an entire school year. Am I right, Dr. Lamb?
That's exactly what the 6 evidence artifacts mirror.
It's exactly. So if you have been a part of the school improvement team at your school, and as a student in the MELS program, if you're not, then you need to ask your site administrator, can you become a part of it, simply because you are in this program, because everything that they do will mirror what you have to do in this program as well. Dr. Lamb, if we could, let's go to prompt number 1, because they need to know how to get started. Let's look at prompt number 1. This is where it all begins. Prompt number 1, the candidate, with the approval of the school leadership, will research the tenets, and I'm trying to find, I can't read it all, Dr. Lamb, it's, here it is. Well, the tenets and functions of a professional learning community, and some people call it professional learning teams. It's called PLTs, PLCs, but all of it means the same thing, while assuming a leadership role in developing and organizing a PLC. The supported narrative must completely and thoroughly address the following. Now, you see there are 3 things that you've got to do with prompt 1. This is going to be your first assignment with the evidence artifact work. The first thing that you have to do is PLC research. And Dr. Lamb, instead of 3 sources, that was an oversight on my part, because it shows in there they have to do a minimum of 5 sources. So that needs to be corrected. The PLC research must include a minimum of 5 sources, and it must be written in APA format. What are you doing here? You're simply talking about what is a PLC. What does the PLC research say? Now, most of us should already know that the father of the professional learning communities is Richard DeFore. And so you're going to talk about Richard DeFore. You're going to talk about other people that are in the business as well. But all of those sources need to be cited in your narrative that you're going to write about what a PLC is and what a PLC looks like. It's a 2-3 page mini research paper on what a PLC is, right, Dr. Lamb?
Exactly.
That's basically what you're doing. And with that, remember, you've got sources, APA style, so there has to be a bibliographical reference with that. So please make sure that you follow that process. Again, you're doing research on what is a PLC, what it looks like, how do you set it up, the basic tenets of what a PLC should look like. Secondly, you're going to look at your professional learning community selection. You're going to decide who is going to serve on your team. Why are they there? You're going to talk about the strengths of the team members, and you need to be, again, it may be a cross-categorical selection of people from different grade levels. It may be your grade level team. You decide who needs to be on your team, and when you do your research, it tells you what a good team should look like. And that's all you're talking about. Your selection process, who it is, something about them. That's what you're doing in the second part. And then thirdly, your PLC meeting, the candidate leads. You are the leader of the PLC, and in this meeting, you're going to discuss the vision and the purpose of your identified PLC. Now, one of the things we need to make clear from the very beginning is that you are developing a new PLC. You're not tagging on to something that the school is already doing. Am I correct in that, Dr. Lamb?
You are.
You need to look at a need for the school, and you're going to discuss this with your site supervisor, a need for the school, and you're going to develop your PLC based on a need from the school. There's lots of things that the principal probably says that we need to do, but we can't do everything. You're another arm, another extension of this administration for the next year that can help him or her do something, research something, work with something, an area, a problem area that they have not been able to get to because you are going to become a part of an intern under their leadership for the next year. And with that being said, you need to go ahead and identify or ask permission from the very beginning. And this is simply in it can be in an email form. You need to ask permission from your site supervisor to be able to do the PLC, to work with this meeting, to set up the PLC. You needed permission, and that will be an email from you to your site supervisor and a response back, and you will actually use those as evidences and artifacts that Dr. Lamb will talk about on Thursday. So you need to go ahead and establish that process with your site supervisor. This is your first activity that we'll talk about more in detail next week, but I wanted you to be able to look at it so that don't wait until next week. You need to go ahead and begin looking at this this week and get started on it. I would go ahead and look at prompt 2. What does prompt 2 tell me that I've got to do? Because you know that it's going to come up the next week. And as you're working on prompt 1, some of the things that you need for prompt 2 may come up. So you're working with a lot of this simultaneously. Dr. Lamb, did I leave anything out when in talking about that you can think of?
No.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to speak more directly to the practical application of this on Thursday night, but just as a caution right now, back to how Dr. Stedman led this evidence artifact, which is the first one, the app cell, as how he introduced it. This is not the place for you to do an improvement plan with something, say, discipline-based like PBIS.
Right.
There are 6 of these evidence artifacts. Look at the screen. See my hands. There are 6. This is the first one. You are to disaggregate your data, standardized test score data from your school, and develop an action plan to close the gaps in those test scores. This is not about discipline. It's not about PBIS. It's not about those things. That will be in number 5. This is the first of 6. In number 5, you will be able to do PBIS as part of your recommendations for an action plan for school culture. But this is not about school culture. I can't tell you that enough times. Half the people who start this program, the first thing they want to do is discipline. That's our most pressing need. No, it's not. The most pressing need is academics.
And it needs to be something that is actually tested. Many people, and I'm not telling you to do this, but you look at literacy as a common thread in almost any school. When you disaggregate your data, and that comes in and actually task 2 of the app, so when you're going to see that, when you disaggregate your data, and that's already been done because you are in the middle of the school year, so I would assume that has been done by your administrative team and your school improvement team already. But again, when they looked at the needs, they identified a need when they wrote their initial school improvement plan, but there are other needs. It could be where when you disaggregated the data and you look at the subgroups, you could focus on just one of those subgroups with your professional learning community. That is, again, going to be between you and your site administrator. And pretty much once you talk with him or her, they're going to tell you, this is something I need help with. And, don't reinvent the wheel. If they need help with it, then that is the area that I probably would consider moving forward with. Dr. Lamb, if you'll go back to the left again. And again, I know many of you are thinking, wow, this is, and it's going to be a lot, and it's going to seem very overwhelming to begin with. But again, it goes back to that old cliche, don't look at the whole elephant. You can't eat the whole elephant at one time. Just eat him one little bite at a time. And I promise you, Dr. Lamb will tell you, we did this together last semester. And Dr. Lamb, we had a very high success rate with our students. And if you'll listen to us, and you will take one bite at a time and look at it one step at a time, I promise you, you will be successful in this. Dr. Lamb, if you'll come on down to the bottom, I want them to see. Dr. Lamb has graciously provided 601 templates. And these templates are, these are just some guides that you can use in helping you begin the development of the app so that we just talked about. Again, we don't want, this is not cookie cutter work, but, some things, it is what it is. This is just a guide, and I see some editing that I forgot to fix up there, Dr. Lamb. This is going to be your cover page. It's going to be the same for all of you. When you look at this cover page, for the APSL, it's exactly the only thing you're going to do is put your name where it says your name here. The rest of it's going to be the same. Come on down to the bottom, Dr. Lamb. Okay, in the highlighted, the yellow and the highlighted areas, you add your text there. If it's red text, that's a reminder that you should delete that and you add your text there. Come on down, Dr. Lamb. That's your company. Every one of the evidence artifacts is going to begin with a school profile. Again, this is what does your school look like? And if you've gone through accreditation, if you've done those school profiles are already there. It's in your school improvement plan. It's advanced ed. If you've been through advanced ed, it's going to be in the work there. It's going to be in your, probably at the beginning of your teacher working condition surveys, and those are artifacts that you need to find and ask the principal to give you access to. All of those things, you're going to need them throughout this process, and we'll talk about that more next week as well. But everybody's going to talk about their school to begin with, school profile. You're going to write school profile at the top, then you're going to talk about your school. Then you're going to begin with prompt 1. Dr. Lamb, come on down. Prompt 1, and Dr. Lamb has actually told you you're going to write the rubric for prompt 1, and then what does prompt 1 look like? You're going to write in boldface print, PLC research, and you're going to do your research. PLC selection, you're going to do your PLC selection. PLC meeting, you're going to put the minutes and talk about your meeting. You're going to attach any artifacts that you may have there. It could be pictures of you presenting. It could be where you have somebody videos the presentation, minutes of the meeting, anything serves as artifacts there. That is prompt 1. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't make it harder than it is. Dr. Lamb has done an excellent job providing you with a guide, and you simply follow the guide, and many times you fill in the blank as it applies to your personal situation and your school setting. Task 2 that you're going to look at week after next is the same thing. And step by step, he has guided you through all 5 tasks of what the APSL will look like. When the APSL is finally submitted midway this semester, then we will talk about the next evidence artifact, which is the APTEL. He's done the very same thing for the APTEL. Step by step, we have given you a guide that will help you to be able to fill in the blanks as it applies to your personal situation. So again, use the information that is there for you. It's there for a reason. You can send Dr. Lamb and me as many emails with or along the way. If you need to email me, if you need to put it in Blackboard and say, Dr. Stedman, am I on the right track? Dr. Lamb, am I on the right track? You're not going to bother us. That's what we want you to do. I'd rather you send me something to look at and say, yes, you're on the right track, keep going, than you to sit there and say, well, if I send it to him, I'm going to bother him. You're not going to bother me. With 80 of you, I may be to the point and say, yes, move on. I may not elaborate a whole lot. Don't take it personally. Just know I'm in the right direction and I'm going to move on. So don't hesitate to send us things to look at. You can, if you're bumfuzzled about something, you know, and everybody should know what a bumfuzzle is. That means that you're confused and you don't know what. It's okay to send me an email and say, Dr. Stedman, you know, I'm having problems with this, and if I don't have the answer, Dr. Lamb will reach out to you, or Dr. Hamilton will reach out to you. One of us will help you so that you are not bogged down in something. But now you got to remember that there's a lot that you've got to do on your own, and make sure that you're reading everything. Many times as you're reading and searching, you'll answer a lot of your own questions. Once you get with your Zoom teams, you will find that your Zoom teams, when you collaborate with each other, you'll find that that Zoom team is going to be very beneficial, and you help each other out. And a lot of times you may not have the answer, but your colleague may say something, oh, that's what that is. So you can help each other out as well. Okay, Dr. Lamb, I know that's been a lot, but I think they needed to hear all of this so that they can get started. I do need you to make sure that you go on into Blackboard. You need to complete that enrollment verification activity. You need to go ahead and do that initial contact information assignment, and go ahead and post that in Blackboard as soon as possible so that I know that you're on board. Dr. Lamb, in addition, they need to understand too that you will have, Dr. Lamb has already introduced himself. He is basically going to be considered the clinical coach too, and he will be driving the task stream process and the submission of all of that work throughout this semester. But you will have a clinical coach 1 as well. And that person, if they haven't reached out to you, they should be reaching out to you in the next day or two to schedule a site visit with you and with your site administrator. Some of you are actually in this class with me, but I will also be your clinical coach 1. So I will be going to your school. I will be meeting you. I think there's 6 or 7 of you that I will actually be visiting with. I'll be meeting you, and I will introduce myself. I will be the face of Gardner-Webb University, and we'll go over some initial things to help get your clinical experience started at your site. All of you will have somebody, and if somebody doesn't reach out to you in the next day or two, you need to let Dr. Lamb and me know so that we can make sure that we can get somebody to you. Dr. Lamb, anything else?
I want to speak briefly about task stream. Dr. Hamilton couldn't be with us tonight. I had a 10-minute section for him, so I'll cover that briefly. Please do not panic about task stream. Task stream is not anything new or different than what you're doing in your class. Task stream is simply a repository for all this work that you're doing in your class on evidence artifacts. Task stream is the repository that we, after it's all been graded and peer reviewed and worked through and submitted for class and for internship shell, you'll have a shell, then it will go to task stream for state grading. We have never had anybody whose portfolio, once we get through with you, it will pass state grading with flying colors. But remember, the state has to grade your task stream portfolio in order to give you, or the state of North Carolina to give you a license. We don't do comments or formative work in task stream. Work only goes to task stream once it's completely gone through the process of Blackboard, both the class shell and the intern shell, and then it exits, you exit it to task stream for a final grade. As I said, we've never had anybody, and in the last, this is going on years now, we've not had anybody that their portfolio wasn't accepted by the state. So don't be the first one. Don't be the village idiot. So, follow the process and everything will be good. When it goes for state grading, it will pass with flying colors. But please remember, this is a licensure program. That's out of our hands. We control the master's degree part and the add-on part in the classes, but now the final state grading takes place in task stream. But again, if you followed everything that we have for you to do, and you wait and get it right, and when we tell you it's ready for task stream, you'll be fine. And so that's what I'm going to cover with you, evidence artifacts from the task stream perspective. When it's ready to go, setting up your competency folio, you have to show competency. You generate those competencies through your evidence artifact work and your suggested list of activities work. You know that you have to do 80 hours of clinical activities per semester for each of the 3 semesters. Now, don't do 240 the first semester and say I'm done. You have to do a minimum of 80 each semester of suggested activities. That's in the Site Mentor Handbook, and so When your clinical coach one comes out and visits with you, they will go over that list of activities. That's one of the things that I'm going to cover Monday night. But you will have that handbook. Let me pull that up quickly, and we'll look at those activities as well. Inside of your Site Mentor handbook, and that you can share this, you can download and share this with your site supervisor now, because they're going to want to know, what are you doing? What's my responsibility? Well, I have it all laid out for you here. And so here's a quick program description of what you're going to be doing, a quick description of the clinical experience that goes along with the classes in the add-on licensure program. All your site supervisor has to do, or site mentor has to do, is sign off on your log at the end of each semester. That's all they have to do. We briefly introduce the 6 evidence artifacts. There's the log where you simply keep your activities, the date, the activity that you did, what competency that addresses, and we have that mapped out for you. The proof, what artifact did you generate? What Dr. Stedman's been talking about tonight is when we talk about evidence artifacts, the 6 evidence artifacts, what he's been talking about is developing the evidence narrative. Now, as a result of having done this work, you will generate artifacts or things like emails or agendas or minutes or pictures or those kinds of things. Those are artifacts or icons. You will have to develop a competency folio and put those artifacts in that folio. You'll have to have 3 rounds for each of the 21 competencies. Again, that's for state licensure, but you will generate those as a result. That's not something extra. You will generate those as a result of the work that you do on the evidence artifacts. I put a column for proof. That's just notes for you to be reminded where I can find this thing when I go to upload it into that folio, and the number of hours that you worked on that. And again, 80 hours each semester. Your supervisor signs it, and you're good to go. Here are the 21 competencies from the state of North Carolina, and these are shared with other states. These are national standards, and you will have to show evidence that you've accomplished these competencies, and you do that by doing this list of activities. So here's your list of suggested activities, the 80 hours that you do at your school during the course of the semester. And I have, as you can see, I have the competency that you will have accomplished by doing these activities already mapped out for you. So you address a small and large groups of adults, conduct parent group meetings. Many of these things you do in the course of a day anyway. But I have all of these activities mapped out for you. And then these are dispositions that we're looking for in terms of your behavior. And you will assess yourself on dispositions. You'll do that in TaskStream. Again, it's not something extra. It's just you will assess yourself. So this Site Mentor Handbook is under the tab. Get that to move out of the way. Under the tab Syllabus and Handbooks, that's where you'll find that Site Mentor Handbook that contains your list of suggested activities. When your clinical coach one comes out and visits with you and your principal for about 5 minutes, that's what they'll show them. Then they'll visit with you for a few minutes to answer any questions that you might have and make sure your technology works and those kinds of things. So that's what we'll cover more in depth on Thursday, how that whole process works. But please remember, if you can't come online with me Thursday, I understand. I'll post the video. But please remember, TaskStream is not something separate. It's a repository for the things that you will have done in your course and clinical activities. And then it goes into a separate place for state grading.
And Dr. Lamb, with that being said, you actually, the course is actually, there are 2 responsibilities. You'll get a grade from me for the course work that is submitted, and then the submission to TaskStream at the end is entirely different from the coursework. The coursework that you submit to me ultimately will lead to TaskStream, but it's 2 separate things.
That's correct. But don't worry, it's not additional work.
No, it's not additional work. It's the same thing, but it's two different things.
But you put it in a different place for state
Right.
training.
Dr. Lamb, let me remind them too, there's 4 groups. You're either in section 02, 04, 08, or 010. You should know when you go into your classes. If you would, when you are corresponding with either Dr. Lamb or me, if you would identify beside your name 02 in parentheses or 04, that will make it a lot easier when I need to go look up, work on you. If you would could remember to do that, that would help out tremendously.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Dr. Lamb, I think that's it, and I know that you've got a lot of questions. You need to think about this to begin with, though. You need to work through it, and then when we come back online Thursday night, then if you have questions, then we can give an opportunity, Dr. Lamb, at that time to address some of those questions. But you need to think about what we've talked about to start with. I'm going to upload this. I'm going to turn it into a YouTube video, and later on tonight, you will get a copy of this so that if you need to go back and review it again, it will be there for you. I'll email it to you, and I'll also place it in Blackboard for you, so it'll be there permanently. Okay.
Again, welcome to the program. I know it's a lot for the first night. That's why we limited it to an hour. But pretty soon it's going to be pretty much old hat. You shouldn't have that many questions. It's just about doing the work.
And Dr. Lamb, I want all of them to know, I can't emphasize enough, I understand a lot of it's overwhelming. Do not throw in the towel from the beginning and say, I can't do this. Do not. If you didn't want to do this, you would have never signed on to begin with. I promise you, if you will work with us over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll begin to see how it all starts coming together, and you'll understand it. We're here for you. We want you to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to turn it back over to me, Dr. Lamb, so I can sign off.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Okay, you giving it back to me, Dr. Lamb?
I am going to go ahead and close it out now. Let me get this back down here and move that out of the way. And do stop share in meeting.